So if I may ask, who is Chomba?
So,
in a nutshell.
Martin Chomba is a regular man. A regular man who was born some years back, about 46 years ago, in Mount Kenya region, a place called Clear County in Chomba village, and schooled in a school called Nyarigushi Primary School, went on to school in Kamoyo Boys High School. After that, tried his luck in Nairobi, having been raised by the grandfather and the grandmother, together with his brother, that is you, did not have much in life, and so he had to move and try his luck in the city. Going to the city, he couldn't manage much, so in terms of college or anything much, so resulted into doing some Juakali business, retailing kerosene. And from 1997 in Kibera, moving to Kangemi, moving to different places in Umoja and the Eastlands places, then has later on started becoming what you call a reseller and a distributor of petroleum. Martin Chomba is a family person. We got married way back in 2003. He's a father of 4 kids. Amongst them, the firstborn that I'm very proud to say was among the people that were leading in 2023 KCSE. It was just announced. Other than that is you're a normal person who, like everybody else, who knew that they have something within them. After training in Nairobi for so many years at the age of 37, decided to go back to school and enrolled at USIU to do a degree in international relations with a concentration in peace conflict and a concentration and minor in diplomacy. Chomba did well, very well, and USIU has had this tradition that the students would do well in different schools within the university. Would get opportunity to go and present the university in UN models at Harvard. And
prestigious Harvard.
Yeah, students would have it. I was among those that were taken. And in 2019, I went to present the HMUN model, Harvard and Howard University in Washington. And then came back and sat for my master's. Because in my degree I did very well. I passed with what they call cum laude, and I took my master's immediately. And 2021 I got my master's. I wanted to continue immediately with my PhD, but around the same time, as you know, our mother became a bit sickly, quite sickly, and it took a toll on me, being one of the primary caregivers, and I had to defer until the unfortunate demise last year. So basically, Chomba is that person who has born and raised, born by a 17-year-old lady who leaves you with your grandfather and your grandmother, and so you have the experiences that everybody else has in the village, and then you transition to the city. You are growing up in the city. The first time you go into the city, you are 19. You are actually 19 years, and you are trying to dispel the notion that Nairobi is KICC and the parliament, because that is what you used to see on TV.
Yeah.
And then you are reconciling with the idea that Nairobi is also there, where you are staying, when you look at satellite, where you first landed, Kangemi, and there's all that mixture, and then you start getting your footing, you start doing your manual businesses, you are retailing kerosene, and then, like everybody else, you start, you go ahead and get married and become a member of the society as a taxpayer. So this that is who Chomba is.
Apart from that, you also sell petroleum products. How was this vision of a Chomba conceived?
Okay, I sell petroleum, and that's true. I am the national chairman, the founding and the national chairman of an organization called Petroleum Association of Kenya. That amalgamates all the petroleum outlets, that is petrol stations and people who bring in petrol in the country. They are called OMCs, and we have a selected number of them who are members of our society. And the organization seeks to try and talk about the issues that appear to shroud the space of petroleum in the country. The vision of Chomba Talk really in me, it's something that I've carried along in a long time, because my other place in me is talking to the society, talking about the socio-cultural issues and the emerging issues in the society. But it was accentuated, or rather it was propped up in me when I went to school and started studying peace and conflict. And I would want to say that one of the greatest reason why this vision has really grown and is pushing, and I really have to have it out here, is when I was studying peace and conflict, there's a scholar, he's a peace scholar, and he's considered the father of peace studies. He's called Professor Johanna Galtung. Johanna Galtung is considered the father of peace studies. He has written quite extensively, and amongst the things that he really spoke about and that caught me and propped up what is in me is when he was speaking about violence. And we were saying that some people, they think that peace is absence of violence, and that is not true. He gives examples, and he tries to tell people that there are times people are quiet, not fighting each other, but does not mean that they are at peace. For instance, I will give you examples that I think can really capture this. I'll tell you, for example, in international relations, this also to do political development and all such. And amongst the things that you study is the superpowers. Today we have countries like United States of America and Russia and China and all these countries. And most of them were even in different functions during the Second World War. You find they were fighting, there was the Axis and there was the NATO groupings. And not everybody loves each other. But today you see that Russia and United States of America or China, for that matter, they can't fight. Germany and UK cannot fight. Because we usually say stable democracies there go to war. There is something we call MAD, mutually assured destruction. If these two states go to war, they have nuclear warheads. If they are very sure that none of them will be left standing. So it is in their interest not to fight with each other. That does not mean they are peaceful with each other. So people cannot assume, like I always give this example. Those people who come from my place, or those guys from the Luya land, where they do a lot of chicken farming, they'll tell you, what do you call the male johors? You call them roosters. So there are times they fight, and until some things they just stare at each other, and none is fighting. Yes, a punching and wishing somebody can just come and be a matter, and they go separate ways. At that moment, it's not that they are at peace with each other.
The truth or something.
And even that truth is not a peaceful truth. Tumechoka. So it is not a truth person. Ile tumechoka and everybody akae mahali yako and we are tired, but we are not peaceful. I'm not beating you, but not because I would not want to, but because I have no other energy left in me to even lift my finger. That does not mean peace. This is how life is. There is what we call positive and negative peace. Positive peace is what we call utopian peace. Utopian peace is a perpetual kind of desire to attain a certain level of tranquility in life, where it is you and the space you are in sync. There is nothing violating you. There is nothing that is going against what you want. If it's a society, No, you don't have a beef within your society. You don't have somebody who speaks negative. You don't have it's that's why you call it utopian. But it is perpetual. But everybody is yearning for that. We are walking toward that journey. It is very hard to achieve it, but it's what everybody wants. A society that is flawless. A society that has nobody, no conman, nobody hacks your phone, nobody does funny things, and no husband is battered by the wife, or wife that is left by the husband, or children that have. There's nobody eating somebody's fare. The society.
And ocean without a storm.
Exactly. That is utopian. It's what we call positive. It's part of the journey towards. It's actually the end game. It is the desired end game, in as much as it's not possible to achieve it. Then is what we call negative peace, and that is what exists. In our society today, a lot of people are not thieves, not because they are good. It is because they know if you steal, you'll be put in jail. But left in their own devices, they will atapita na kitu yako. Others, the reason why they did not slap you is because they think you can slap them harder. Does not make them peaceful. Others, the reason why they are not speaking over your head is because they don't know, they are not very sure how they will react, how you will react. There are people who are just looking at each other and they are, hey, how are you? But inside them, they are boiling. That is part of what we call negative peace. And this is what rules societies. What is, now you ask what is the connection between all these and Chomba talk. The connection here is that in my thinking and in my study, John Hannah Galtung talks about what precipitates negative peace. And amongst them is the social structures that we grow in. We grow in a society that is not a vacuum. We grow in a society that has rules and regulations and things that are expected of us and things that we expect of others. All these things, from the language, practice, and governance, and the responsibilities that we have in the society, they form structures that shape us. For instance, the reason why you are understanding what I'm saying is because we grew up in an English-speaking education system. If you grew up in China, you'll be speaking Mandarin. If you grew up in Latvia, you'll be speaking their language. So the structure, the language structure that you grew up in has it that today you can communicate in English. Somebody else grew up in a place where the religion is Islam. They are not Islamic by choice. They are Islamic because that is where they grew up. You are not a Christian by your own choice. You are Christian because you are raised in a society that is Christian. You don't speak your language because it's a choice. You speak a language because that is your the society. The culture that you bear today is a culture that was inoculated in you. It's a culture that was inculcated in your system by things beyond your comprehension, by things beyond your allowing capability. You found yourself in that space. And that's why there are things that you do. There are things that you do, others don't do. And that's why people, when they are moving to different countries, it's important for them to go through intercultural communication classes so that they don't have clashes of culture when they get themselves to the other side of the globe. So, likewise, we have companies and governance systems and family settings that have structures. Family A has structures that are very different from family B. That's why you'll find a boy of the same age in family A has a very different grasp of life and worldview from the boy in family C. Take, for instance, a boy who has grown up in Rwanda today has a very different worldview with a boy who has grown up in Mathare. They have different perspectives. Why? Because different structures have informed their worldview. There's a boy today who has grown up in a place like Karen, And if they find themselves in Australia to study, they cannot cook ugali to save their life. But there's a guy who has grown up in Mathare, can not only cook ugali and chapati, but they can boil the head of a cow and make soup and sell. Because the world structures they have grown in have inculcated that in them. Similarly, there are other structures that brings upon vice in life. There are people who have grown up in families and companies and societies that violate them. You've grown up with a mother who does not want to hear you. You've grown up with a father who castigates you every so often. To an extent, you hate yourself. So you grow up with hatred. And when you're older, it starts manifesting in other ways. Remember what they say, that hurting people hurt others. Why are these people hurting in the first place? Because they have grown in a society that violates them. There are people who have grown up in a society, in a home, where drinking alcohol is the order of the day. So when they are older, the only way to escape from reality is drinking alcohol. There are others who have grown up in a society that tells them, if you have an issue, speak up. Others, if you have an issue, keep quiet. So when people are grown up, and especially from the ages of teenage, they start now manifesting what their structures have been putting in them. If the structures have told them it is okay to be sleeping all over the place, that is who they become. If the structures have told them it is okay to be modest, that is who they become. If people who are working in companies today, a company A, for instance, let me just say, take for instance the multinationals. The way Safaricom is run is not the way Total Kenya is run, or Kenya Breweries is run, or Bamburi Cement is run. All these companies, they have their own structures. Where when you're working in East African Portland company, there are structures within there that informs how people behave. When you're working in the Kenya Pipeline, there are structures that define how people work there. So if you're so used to the structures within Kenya Pipeline, and tomorrow you move to Mombasa Cement, it is very likely that you'll feel the structures there will violate you. I take, for instance, a student who just left high school or primary school and they are joining high school. They moved from Mombasa. They were schooling in Mombasa High School or whatever, a school that is in lowland. And they come to school in Mount Kenya, where I was schooling, a place that is very cold, and they have come from very hot place. And they come there, and the systems are that people take cold showers, and nobody warms water for you. Maybe the child is asthmatic and such. So they start, the structures within Mount Kenya violates him because of the structure that he has grown up in. So this boy or this girl might now start exhibiting some behavior that now starts being in contrast with what they know. So the parents start seeing the child behave funny. She was performing very well in Mombasa. Now she's performing very poorly in Mount Kenya. Why? Because she is violated in Mount Kenya by the structures. And so she's exhibiting this through performance. So if the parents, so the parents and the teachers, if they are not aware of this, they will now start condemning this girl or this boy. And now the boys start running away because they do not even understand themselves. And through that conflict grows up to an extent that this person becomes a social deviant. They exclude themselves from society. And that is now the biggest reason why I'm bringing Chomba to talk to people how to deal with the structural violence within business space, because there are businesses that are violating, family setup, marriage, dating, politics, name it. In every aspect of the society, there are structures that are set. In Kenya today, in Mount Kenya region, in Nyanza region, there are political structures that have been set and they are violated. Political players. And you'll find that some of them cannot rear their head beyond where they are because the structures that they found do not allow for somebody to prop up. You have to see so-and-so, you have to know so-and-so, you have to do this and that for you to become. For instance, we have grown in a society where we glorify people who are cantankerous and people who are dodgy. So you'll find that our political space is dominated by players who in the society may not do much, but because they have the ability to be hard and to be aggressive, they become political players and they make their own decisions. People who are soft and people who know and people who are calm, because they don't have what it takes to be in the political space, then they cannot in a place of making decisions. So the structures have violated in us that the structures have locked out credible people who would play in politics, and it has allowed Danish people to play in political space. And this is what has precipitated the saying that politics is a dirty game. But it is because the structures have it. It's only dirty players who can access a dirty game. So good guys will not manage. So basically, Chomba talk is a talk that is aimed at disambiguating the character and structures that the society has put up to sieve people and allow others to prop and prevent others from propping. But basically is making people understand, where am I, why am I the way I am, and what can I do to change it.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
if I'm watching, I expect to be healed, to be motivated, to
I
be
expect you to see me holding a mirror.
Yeah.
You look at yourself, you see the structures that you have been in to make you understand why you are where you are, and then try to flip it. See what do we do to change that.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chomba.